So, you want to go fast. Everything's expensive. Nothing ships quickly. You know, and honestly, go on Marketplace, things aren't cheap. So what do? You know, if you buy a Camaro, you get to spend $8 grand before you even start building something. And you know, that's the same with almost every door car. You know, new race cars are expensive, but I can show you a way. I can already hear people saying, hey, that's a supercharger. I thought you were talking about affordable race cars. Well, I am. This is the Public Enemy. And not to spoil the rest of the video, but it's getting a heart transplant. And while I'm showing you how to revitalize my car, I'm going to kind of go through over the next few videos of how you could create something like this for way cheaper than you might think. I think a lot of people would be surprised actually. This car with the supercharger running on alcohol and allegedly nitro. Actually, I built it for about 8,800 bucks Canadian over the course of about 5 years. And if you figure that out, that's only a couple of grand a year. And honestly, I could have saved money here and there. This thing is way more basic than you would think. This is a legit vintage fuel altered, but the way that it was built originally and the way that I built it now, you could replicate this really cheap. So, you know, on with the video, and just know that as we go, I'm going to show you some stuff that I did on this car that you could definitely do in a home garage. So let's get at it. I'm at a point where I'm pretty much ready to cut the rest of the tubes and start mocking it up completely. All I'm doing is putting a hose clamp on here, and that's what I'm using to slide up and down and make my marks. There is infinitely better ways to do this. There's lots of different jigs for cutting mandrel tubes, and it'll do it exactly 100% every single time. But if you're going to build one set of headers or a couple of sets of headers, it's honestly, unless you already got this stuff, it makes more sense to use the stuff you have. So this is a great way. You tighten a hose clamp down, square it up. You can draw your line around the cut edge, take it off, you cut the tube, you know it's going to be flat. Because if this stuff isn't cut square, it will not ever butt up nicely. There's still a little bit of burrs here, but it'll never butt up nicely when you go to weld it. It doesn't take much to take a cut like this and make it an oval. So keep that in mind. I'm going to keep plucking away. Always make sure, especially if you're going to make something uniform, make sure it fits everywhere. You know, if I go and make 3 more of these for this side and 4 more for the other side, I want these to come out on the same angle, come out on the same height. So, you know, if something fits in this front here, but it won't fit in the middle side on the other side, or, you know, if it was going to get, you know, way too close to the steering, something like that, this is the time to figure that out. Well, I'm just breaking these loose. That's why they look a little janky, but I promise all the angles are still right. Making a new valley cover here. My old one's not in great shape and it doesn't fit underneath the supercharger. But I figured we'd shift gears just a little bit and start working on bracing all the rockers. So yeah, let's get to it. And I got it pretty close to the same. We're gonna have to cut this down, obviously, and we're gonna have to trim it up a lot. I need to make sure it'll fit under a stock valve cover. But yeah, basically this is all we're gonna do to brace these guys. So yeah, let's chop it up, weld it up. Alright, so we got it mocked up. They clear the stock valve covers, which is good. Still got to weld them up, and obviously this is all going to get taken apart and cleaned anyway. But I think this is going to work for us. We have at least a 1/4 inch of clearance. Everywhere it seems pretty good. So I am going to burn this in, and you are going to wait. Well, that's it, that's all. This is all you really have to do to brace these things up. Honestly, a lot of guys were doing this pretty early on because up until when Donovan rockers were coming out, these guys would shear off right about here if you had really, really high valve spring pressure or really high RPM, and there just wasn't much good that was available. Even the factory adjustable rockers had the same issues. So obviously now there's companies with billet aluminum and all that jazz, but I don't really feel like spending $4,000 on a set of rockers when you can do something like this. You run adjustable push rods and it's good to go. So yeah, they actually welded up pretty nice. I really can't complain. I had a really, really hard time getting these clean, and yeah, maybe one day I'll do just like a tips video on welding garbage. I do a lot of repairs and stuff like that, so I'm kind of used to stuff that's not perfectly clean. But I clean these, and then more oil would come out. I clean them again, more oil would come out. They looked clean. I would start welding on them, and you could see the oil just starting to try to come back out. So you can only go so far, and obviously if I took these off of these stands, I could have got them cleaner. These are going to come apart anyway because I have a complete different setup for those. But yeah, it's like almost 5 o'clock in the morning, so I think I'm going to end this little part right here. See ya.